In this video, we're going to walk through the process of loading 357 Magnum on the RCBS Pro 2000 5-station progressive reloading press. And this press has the auto-indexing kit, so you'll see the full operation. In this video, we're going to use all 5 stations. And in station number 1, we're using an RCBS sizing and decapping die. In station number 2, we're using an RBS expander die. Station number 3, we're powder charging. In station number 4, we're going to be using a Redding seating die. And in station number 5, I'm using an RCBS seating and crimping die. But with the seater plug removed, we're just going to crimp in that particular station. In this particular case, we've already filled a couple APS priming strips with small pistol Magnum primers. So the next thing that we're going to take a look at is filling the powder measure and dialing in our powder charge. So in this particular case, we're going to use Winchester 296, which is actually the same powder as Hodgdon H110, good general purpose Magnum pistol powder. So we can just remove the top of the powder measure and pour in our powder. We can go, say, 3/4 of the way full or so. And then the next step is going to be to dial in the powder charge. So to dial in our powder charge, what we're going to do is start with a piece of brass with spent primer. We're going to put that on the scale, turn on the scale, and in that way zero it out to this particular piece of brass that we'll be using. So the next thing we want to do is take our brass, put it in station number 3 right under the powder measure, dispense a powder load, and then remove the case. We'll put this back on the scale to check it. So putting our load back on the scale, we see that we're at 16.2, and actually on this particular load I want 16, so we're going to just back it down a little bit. So the RCBS Pro 2000 comes standard with the micrometer metering insert. So we're just going to crank that in just a little bit. We're going to dump our powder load, put the shell back in, dispense another load, and we'll check that. So let's put the brass back on with our new powder load. And we see here that we're at 15.9, which is definitely close enough for this particular load. Okay, so the last thing we need to do before we start loading is going to be to load the APS strip. You noticed here that this open end needs to go in first. So we're just going to feed that right in until it clicks. And then we'll see here that when we press down on the ram, we get a primer there. Actually, test that once again, make sure that we only have one primer on there, and we're good to go. Alright, so now that we have primers loaded, we've loaded and validated our powder charge, let's run a test round through. And what we've got here is cleaned 357 brass that we've collected from the range. We've also got 158 grain hollow point spear bullets that we're going to use for loading here in a bullet tray, which we're hanging off of the accessory rack. So what we're going to do is take our piece of brass, insert it as station number 1. It's going to size and deprime, and then on our way down we're going to prime the case. So there we've got a new primer. We're using small pistol Magnum primers because we're loading a Magnum load. We're going to expand the case mouth. We're going to do our powder charge. And then we can take a bullet and place it. We'll do our seating of the bullet. Eyeball that. Looks like it could actually go down just a hair. So I'm going to put that back in and reseat. We'll see what we get there. And that looks perfect. We're going to crimp and then eject the completed cartridge. And it actually looks like our crimp is just a little bit heavy. So I'm going to back that off just a hair as well. So we're going to back it out just a little bit and then re-snug the lock ring. And let's run one more test round through because we can't take off the crimp. Place our bullet. Okay, now it looks like we're dialed in. We can see here that we have a nice crimp on there. We also have a nice flush primer, and that's going to do it for our setup. All right, well, now that we have the machine set up, let's do some loading. Each time we're going to take a clean piece of brass, put it in station number 1, size and deprime. Then go on to the priming stage. Expanding, then powder charging. Now we're going to go on to placing a bullet, inspect the powder level, place the bullet. And now we are going to crimp the last round there. And then finally eject. Well, there we have it. We've loaded 357 Magnum on the RCBS Pro 2000 press, and we've seen just what it takes to load high quality ammunition. In this particular case, we've used a separate seating and crimping die arrangement, which allows us to dial in the seating and crimping specially separate, which is nice. But in future videos, we'll look at combining stations so we can use the bullet feeder with 357 Magnum. So stay tuned here on ultimatereloader.com, and let's see what happens next with the Pro 2000. Thank you.